Alright, so I will be sleeping in the woods tonight. And I feel a lot more anxious about it than the last time. I think it was more of a tryout, and now it feels like a lot more serious. And I think that's also because I'm putting an expectation on myself because I made a thing out of it, and now I feel like I cannot fail or something. And that feels a bit shitty. So I'm just gonna try to accept what is and just experience whatever I'm gonna experience. Yeah, it's quite cold and wet today. Like, it was raining a lot, so I'm not taking a sleeping bag, but I am taking like a trash can bag, like a trash bag. 2 trash bags actually that I taped together to make a little rain bag. Yeah, I'm curious, but it feels strange. Like, I just brushed my teeth, I'm gonna go take a shower, and then like I'm ready to go sleep, and I'm gonna jump on my bike and go to the woods to sleep there. Yeah, I guess normally you would be like going on a trip and camping in the woods, then it's strange to just be in my house doing everything that I would do before sleeping and then going outside. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So, I came by bike, and then it was so dark, because it's already quite late. It's like 10:30. And I was looking for a spot, but I was quite anxious. I really didn't feel connected to the forest. Like last time I felt more connected because I'd been taking a walk for a while already. And it's like so freaking dark. I cannot see where I put my feet. I really felt like separate from my surroundings. I tried to walk somewhere and then I heard a bird do a warning call, and I was so startled by that. I'm really like on edge. Makes me very awake as well. Like, I don't feel like I can sleep at all. But the sky, it's very clear. It's so beautiful. Like, it's really nice to see the stars again. I'm just gonna lay down and see if I can sleep a bit. In my mind, my main fear right now is being raped for some reason. It really feels like anxious, like a bad feeling in my stomach. Like being a woman, you're always in danger because you are a sexual object in some way, and you're quite weak as well, like physically. I'm feeling weak. And I have to stay alert to protect myself. But I feel that by acknowledging this, I'm already able to relax a little bit. So, this is bright. This is my spot. I brought the plastic bags, and the ground is quite wet. But it's not raining, so I decided to not use it and just see how it goes. Now that I'm laying here confronted with the reality and observing my fear, I was kind of rationalizing it with my mind still as well. Because it's a fear that would inhibit you from doing things, but actually, in this case, like, why would I get raped here? You're not gonna go to the forest to search for girls to rape, so it cannot be someone's intention being here. Like, maybe someone is really fucked up and in the woods just surviving. But then for them to see someone else and hurt them for their own pleasure, that's still another big step to take. Something that can happen, but it's like not very realistic. Just as I was feeling into where someone would come from when they do something like that. In the beginning, I could feel the wind on my face, and that would really give me like a bit of anxiety, or like really anxiety, but just a worry in my body, like, oh, I'm getting colder, and I try to let it go, just experience it. I'm feeling over the hours now that my body is shivering more and more. The cold is mainly coming from the ground, really going into my body. I do feel like the more time I spend, the more uncomfortable my body gets, but the more comfortable my mind gets. I feel like I'm more becoming a part of the forest. I was also thinking about some things that gave me a bit of anxiety or that worried my mind before today, and how from this perspective they seem so trivial, like really stupid to worry about something like that so much. Like not being free in yourself and social interactions or something. Why do I care so much about that? I do feel free in a way and determined. I do want to stay here, but I'm getting really, really cold now. Yeah, I am glad that I put on an extra sweater and a pair of gloves. Oh, I'm so happy with the gloves, because even now my hands are freezing. I was quite relaxed, like sort of tingling in my body that I thought I might actually be able to sleep, but I'm quite awake still. It's almost 12 now. We'll see how it goes. Het is nu 1:30. Het ging net regenen. Maar toch maar niet. Dus ik kan nu weer uit mijn vuilnis komen. It seems like the darkest part of the night has already passed. Like maybe that was around between 11 and 12. Or I'm just used to the darkness more. That's also a very plausible possibility. The clouds are super white. It's nice having the rolled up garbage bags for my knees, because my legs were getting kind of wet from the floor. My jacket is pretty watertight, I think. Another thing I noticed was that with the things I experienced, I wasn't necessarily like, mostly the cold is an unpleasant experience, and then not being able to sleep. But it's not that I'm suffering, that I'm being in the suffering from that, but more that I'm in a worry of it getting worse. And I think that's something I do with a lot of things in life. I suffer from the fear of suffering becoming worse. Which doesn't make sense. Like, why would you suffer from that? It's something that's not even there yet. And also something I maybe cannot do anything about. Maybe that's the illusion that if I worry, I'll be able to do something about it before it happens. Which might be true in some cases. Zo lig ik hier dan. Het is koud. Ook wel heel fijn. Ik wil ook eigenlijk niet per se naar huis of zo. Ik wil hier weg blijven. Het fijn om zo bij de grond te zijn. Maar mijn tenen. It's about 1 o'clock now. I really do feel like I belong a lot more. It's almost a territorial feeling. Like when I came here, if I would have encountered someone who would have been like, oh, I'm sorry, sorry I'm here, that attitude. And now it would almost be like, what are you doing here? I don't feel completely at ease though. The sky has cleared up again. It's really cool to have the stars like all around. Yeah. Fucking koud. Maar wel fijn, bijzonder. Ik vraag me af of ik nog ga slapen ook. I already peed twice. I think I drank even less than usual one. Normally I don't pee at all. I was getting really sort of bored. It's not entirely the right word, but like my toes are so cold. They're actually so cold that the rest of my body doesn't feel cold anymore. But it's sort of the only thing I can experience, or it's about 90% of what I experience. And being so awake is just getting kind of boring. Yeah, I mean, after, what is it? 3 or 4 hours of basically sort of meditating. But then I looked up at the stars again, and I became so grateful that I'm here right now, get to experience this. Still not quite totally relaxed. Maybe I'll do a body scan again. So, I wanted to do something. Sort of excited to do groceries, weirdly enough. But so I did a body scan, and I could relax everything, but I noticed so clearly that by relaxing, everything became so much colder. So much colder. But then I also became so tired, and it really felt like I couldn't move anymore. It's just a bit freaky, because it's also so cold. It's almost like I became stone. And there's a lot of fireworks going on. Not super close, but I think like outside of the forest. I don't know what was happening, but there was like big ass, I don't know, a whole happening. And then I heard sirens. I think it was the firemen. So curious what was happening, but I noticed I'm not really afraid of me encountering fireworks. I think I would hear people before. It's been quite quiet. Sometimes I make a sound, or like my clothes, and then I think it's someone else. But Other than that, I think I'm alone. If I would actually be in this situation, I would be spending as much time as possible, like building fires and building shelters and searching for food. Going somewhere where I want to go. That I would have much more to be occupied with, I think. I basically, because I couldn't sleep, I got so much energy that I started doing a headstand, and my body just really wanted to do that. Move around and be silly. And I thought about filming it for documentation, and then there's this massive light. So much attention. But yeah, I guess I feel pretty comfortable. And I want to play. The food meditations became deeper and deeper every time. But it's still hard to really feel my emotions in a sense. Sort of dissociated. And I just slept for like half an hour. Maybe even a bit longer. I was sort of surprised when I woke up. I already forgot what I dreamt about. Alright. I think this was it. It's 4:30. A time I allow myself to be morning, as I've had an alarm at these times. And I really feel like I did it. There were other times when I thought about going home, but that felt like it wouldn't be fair to myself. And now it does feel fair. I'm really happy that I slept a little bit, because that really feels like an achievement, being able to let go like that. And I think that's also why I feel now like I'm ready to go home, and even though it's gonna be a long time until it's light, I can clearly see that one part of the sky is beginning to light up. It's like a grey, yellowish color, while the other part is still this deep blue. I'm really thankful for this night and for the stars, for the trees around me, for giving me some protection, and for the ground, for holding me, even though it was also making me very cold. Yeah, it's strange how I am unable to describe this night. Like, I wouldn't say it was fun, but I would. Yeah. it gave me, it gave me trust in myself. Even though it was harder than I thought it would be, so I was a bit naive. But, yeah, I feel like it made me stronger. More connected and less worried about a lot of things. I still feel not really completely connected to my body, but I feel a lot more connected to my surroundings. A lot more aware and accepting of them. And that feels really good. I've been feeling for a while, like now that this place feels really like my place a bit. I feel quite at ease and at home here. I got the feeling that walking back to the bike and biking the part out of the forest, I'm not really anxious about it, but like a little bit. That feels a bit scary now, which I think is funny. And I think if I just do it, once I do it, it's not gonna be scary at all. And I do have trust in that as well. So, yeah, I'm gonna take a little walk around the forest. I think that will be nice, and then I'm gonna go home, drink some tea. Can you hear the birds? It's funny, they were there, not in the forest, but once I got out I heard them, and they're everywhere where the people are. But I guess that also means it's early enough to get up. It's the next day, and I was feeling all day a bit not very good. A little bit of a headache, but mostly a tenseness in my lower belly and a sort of nauseousness that was connected to that. Was kind of slight, but I wasn't feeling good. But in the evening I realized that when I focused on the feeling, just try to lovingly be aware of it, and I realized it was the fear from yesterday, just when I was in the forest and constantly kind of alert for any like unexpected thing that could happen, sort of vulnerability, like not safe, and yeah, this tension that has been in my body, and I just this anxious feeling, or like this just sort of low level of stress and alertness. I had to cope with that in that moment, and like just be be there with it, but I think my body had a reaction to be able to experience that. And that now my body had to just sort of digest that experience, that part of the reaction to the experience that still remained in my body had to be digested, and I can feel that sort of happening, the reaction to the shock, let's say. Time was also a thing that was different. I realize now as I'm like giving my awareness to that digestion, that I can sort of go back into the feeling of time of yesterday night, where it's sort of like I had then like this sort of boundary. It was first 3 a.m. Like I needed to at least make it to 3 a.m. When it was 3 a.m. it became 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Like this, it's still so many more hours, and when you're just so awake, sort of, you have to go through that time. But noticing on the end of the time, it really didn't, it made me get away from the actual experience. So every time I try to not do that, and I noticed that brought me to a certain state, which I can still sort of get into now. Like, love what is and be honest. It's about loving what is, but also loving what is. It's not about worrying what might happen. Or even thinking about what is not. The only thing that is, and also be honest about that. I also think it's interesting that I really very clearly didn't want to smoke the joint. I wanted to be there. I didn't want to numb myself from it. I really clearly felt that. The fear on the background. Last night I was trying to experience it, but I realized now that I was immediately trying to let it go. Like, you don't have to be afraid, let go of the fear. But now that I'm processing it, I'm just feeling into fear. And when I thought kind of out loud, but still in my head, when I had the thought, I am afraid, sort of a mantra almost, just really acknowledging that the feeling that I have, and really embodying it, wearing it. I could feel my body relax. It wasn't a bad thing anymore. So, right now it's been about a week, or 10 days, I think, since I slept in the forest. And yeah, I had just made footage at that time, sort of not knowing what to do with it, and then I just put it all together, and it was very interesting to reflect on that. And I just wanted to add something right now because I noticed that it did change some things in my attitude in my normal life. Yeah, that also has to do with like different things that are going on and that I'm learning, but it's in the line of everything that's happening. Everything is adding up to a changing life. And just something that I noticed was that I don't want to do multiple things at the same time. I clearly feel that that's not, that I don't like that for some reason anymore. I was always very keen on listening to podcasts, getting information, or at least listening to music while I'm doing things where that's possible. So like when I'm cleaning or transporting somewhere, cooking, stuff like that. And I just did not want to do that anymore. If I would be on my skateboard to the station, I would really want to just be able to be there. Yeah, really, it's not even, maybe not even conscious, because it's just a feeling that I know that I want that. To choose to be where I am and really be there, like I did in the forest in a way. Although I don't feel like I was completely there in my own emotions at that time. But yeah, I think that's interesting. Because in the forest I couldn't sleep and there just wasn't anything else to do either. Like there's always something to do, of course. I could breathe, I could bring my attention to different things. I could do the headstands, and just one point I just started throwing the tripod around for a bit and things like that. But there isn't a lot of distraction, and I am feeling more confronted with that now, as I'm having this week some nights where I have trouble sleeping and I'm laying awake for a very long period of time, and I can just observe my mind looking for things to escape to, I'd say. Thinking about food or sex or doing something that's easily to get distracted in. Because apparently I don't want to be there laying awake. So I'm just trying to be conscious of that and see why that is happening and what it can bring me. But I feel like the experience in the wood has contributed to me having more awareness on that. And yeah, an idea that I had over this 10 days, because I was realizing this, I sort of realized what would be the next follow-up step in the line of this experiment. Something I would really want to do someday. I don't know how I would realize that, but I'm just going to see. It's the idea of a darkness retreat. I heard about someone doing this, and you go for a couple of days just in the darkness, dark room, and you just don't really have anything to distract yourself. There's literally no light, and you can wiggle around, of course, and you get food. But there's not a lot to do, and you're really confronted with your own thoughts and feelings, and not having any distractions, having to sit in uncomfortability. And yeah, that just intrigued me a lot right now, because I'm not sure if I'm ready to be confronted with everything, but yeah, I do think it is a very fruitful thing to do, a very interesting thing that I would learn a lot from at this point. So yeah, just wanted to add that, and feels like a wrap up to the story. So